We live in an age now where music is very easy to access, with models from iPhone like the AirPod Maxes making music more of an aesthetic than an actual form of leisure. You know, headphones, earbuds, speakers. Music is way more consumable than it ever has been. What have you been listening to recently?
Recently, I've been on Music by Carti, Charm and Sling by Claro, Tame Impala, like that kind of music.
Because of that high demand in music and high consumerism, there is also now a lot of artists out there coming from different genres like jazz, R&B, hip-hop, and even soul. The demand is unquestionable, with artists like Taylor Swift, Playboi Carti, Kanye West, and Tyler the Creator selling out arenas within seconds. Yes, seconds. I had to struggle to get my ticket from Tyler the Creator. I was at my job trying to I was down bad. Now, I don't know about you, but I love music. Being someone who collects vinyls himself and streams music on a day-to-day basis, of course I love music. But the question raised in my head, is this all sunshine and rainbows? I mean, yes, it's true that music can enhance study and focus for individuals, and it can also boost your mood if you're listening to the right type of music. But what if you're not? Finding the answer to this has become an inconvenience for many people due to how convenient music is to their life and how they'd rather avoid any negative connotations to music. Well, I'm here. I'm the police for this. So today we're gonna delve into the history of music and spirituality in the music industry. Buckle up. But where do we start? Now, just to clarify, I'm gonna be talking about a lot of sensitive topics within this video, ranging from slavery to... Wait. That's it. So if you don't want to hear anything about how slavery influenced music, click off the video. In the late 18th to 19th century, slavery was a big thing inside of the USA, in American culture, and to keep the economy growing in the USA. With slaves being held captive, being whipped, and being treated badly, they needed a way to express themselves, and that wasn't gonna be from picking cotton. So what did they do? Well, back in African culture, dancing and instruments were a very big thing, with a lot of African citizens creating instruments out of any materials they can find and gathering in campfires to sing songs and dance. So they brought that culture to America. But hold on, they were slaves, so all their instruments were taken away from them. They had no way to do what they did back in Africa, but they prevailed with what I see as one of the biggest plot twists in history. Black people that were enslaved were put under the Christian law that was guided within the white supremacy in America. Through that, they read a lot of scriptures, they read a lot of Bible, and they had a strong connection with God. With this influence from the Christian Bible, a lot of slaves took back to their camps and taught a lot of their members the encoded language that they call spirituals. Not so much as a language, but as a way to express themselves. It was songs that they created in order for them to feel a bit of hope, with lyrics symbolizing hope, freedom, and just good energy overall, which got them through a lot of tough times. With the abolishment of slavery in 1860, one thing that wasn't abolished was that good music. Instantly, genres started appearing with reggae music, jazz music, and even choir music, or gospel music, which obviously took inspiration from that Christianity and that spiritual aspect and brought it in together. And I could even go as far to say that that was reflected within reggae music and the jazz music in the time, even soul music, because they all reflect lyrics that were of hope. They were speaking their life and manifesting things into existence with their lyrics. And this didn't stop there. With reggae music being pushed so much with Bob Marley and his influence having a worldwide reach, people started feeling that energy and even call his music very relaxing, very spiritual, which is what reggae music is actually known for. Damn, it's a whole circle.
Feel it, because reggae music is not something that you hear, it's something you feel. See, and if you don't feel it, you can't know it.
But this didn't stop there. Genres such as hip-hop and rock music started bursting out of nowhere, with a lot of lyrics symbolizing the consciousness at the time and reflection on the person that's performing the music's life. Suddenly, music had a lot more emotional depth. It was not just an electrical signal coming out of a jukebox. Did they even have jukeboxes back then? I don't think so. Music became a source for people to release their minds, take their minds off in a form of emotional expression with deep lyrics and a lot of background vocals, which were also inspired by the slaves that were singing spirituals in the camp, having a lot of people singing together. I mean, a lot of artists use it to this day. It shows the gravity, the effect of it. Okay, but what does this have to do with spirituality within the music industry? And what does this have to do with the overarching question of, is every music good or is every music not good? I could have summed that better. Well, to answer that question, I think we need to look at where we are today. Cue the interviews. So the first question is, what type of music are you listening to?
R&B.
R&B.
Frank Ocean, Thinking About You.
Hip-hop stuff.
Listening to a lot more jazz.
And why are you listening to that?
Claro, like, chills me out, you know.
South Africa.
I can't lie, in my feelings, bro.
For sure. Appreciate it.
Not so quiet around me, and I have got something going on in my head, so I know half my thoughts going on in my head.
For sure. Appreciate you. Well, I think it's safe to say that music is an integral part of people's lives. And people search to music to have a gravitational pull within them. Yeah, but is that gravitational pull always a good thing? Now, I'd be lying if I say I haven't felt certain emotions while listening to music, but it could also be down to context. To really answer this question, I think we need to look at how music is sold, what it contains, and really what the overarching message is.
Boyfriend is a dog. I'ma spend that shit. I lie. She got me a chick. I got a gentleman. Yeah. Thanks to all the
drugs, even more drugs, money, fame, cars. Oh no. Now, in the late 19th century, the music industry as we know it today emerged. And what that meant is that a lot of record labels were identified in order to allow artists to distribute their music to a mass audience. And with that, they would sell a lot of albums, they'd sell a lot of EPs, a lot of singles, through different forms like the vinyls and record players. Oh, that's the same thing. Basically, this is the first time that there's ever been a high demand and a lot of money in cheddar to be made. Now, as I mentioned, the spirituals and that whole slavery thing influenced a lot of hip-hop artists to cultivate their music in such a in-depth way. But obviously, that hasn't remained the case. The niche of people who wanted to listen to all that deep shit with rap and, spiritual type of symbolicism completely decreased compared to the people who wanted to listen to music that made them feel like they were earning a little bit more money than they actually are, living a lifestyle that they're not living. So what did artists do? They fulfilled those needs. They gave people lyrics that made them feel more empowered, made them feel more righteous in a way. But what did that do? What did that mean even? Lyrics that had a lot of profanity, had a lot of lyrics that make people want to even do bad things, apparently rose. And this led to the infliction of parental advisory content. That sticker that you see on albums and stuff. With that, parents had a way to censor what their kids would listen to. I can't remember the last time I looked at parental advisory content and thought, yeah, I'm not gonna buy this because I'm not of age. Of course I'm of age now, but I've never looked at it and thought any type of way. This created a mass surge of people listening to that type of music in a day today. The artists such as Playboy Carti and even Kanye West, I can even go as far to say Jay-Z, Lil Wayne even, Ross, all expressing lyrics that led to a lifestyle filled with rich and fame and, that luxury lifestyle that people are clearly not living. What does this make people do? Well, as we can see now, the people consuming these lyrics, it's not hard to imagine that this is all they would think about and also manifest into their ideals, their values, their beliefs, and to what is important within life. I could go as far to say that this little factor has had implications for how people deal with their relationships, with a lot of men and women listening to music saying that men aren't shit, girls aren't shit, and a lot of music being pushed out that, signifies a lot of indecency. Yeah, I sound like such an uptight nerd right now. I listen to that music as well, just saying, but I'm trying not to. And the reason for that is being revealed slowly. With this clear lack of music that really breeds any positivity or insightfulness into, a deep level, it poses a question. Is music worth listening to at all if it's going to breed all of these ideals that, make you marginalized in consumerism? And I was thinking, I can't really name off the top of my head many artists that really delve into that type of spiritual level, where they're endorsing a lot of feelings and thought-provoking things. I can only name 5 off the top of my head. Now, I'm not saying these artists are perfect in every way, shape, or form. Of course not, no one is. But I feel like the fact that they employ these methods of spirituality is the least bit refreshing and gives us a clearer answer as to what we should be letting in order to let out with energy too. Artists like Jhené Aiko have spoke about using instruments that cause this feeling of positivity and tranquilness in her music, which is a little bit satisfactory because, you know, it at least makes you feel that, you know, I'm listening to something that's gonna make me feel good. Just breathes this fresh air, almost this symbol of hope within her music. I mean, artists like Nipsey Hussle has talked about how he believes that his lyrics are a gateway into his world, with him talking about the spirituality aspect being that whatever lyrics he has in his head was already in his head before he even put it into the microphone, which means that you're unlocking a gateway into his mind whenever you listen to his music, which that self-awareness causes you to trust his music more. And it also breeds this accountability. Okay, you know that what you're giving me is, you know, what I am going to consume, what I'm going to let out into the universe. So you better make sure that what you're writing down and what you're giving to me is gonna make me feel good. I mean, it's a service, essentially. Another way I can make you look at this is XXXTentacion. He spoke a lot about spirituality. And I know that's not what made him famous. It was a lot of his troubles with the police and a mugshot that landed him on every girl's Instagram story and profile pictures in some cases. But yeah, he had this prophethood type of sense where people looked up to him and looked at his music as a way to cope with their depression, anxiety, and just a relief and numbness even. And he even said this was the purpose for his music.
What's the point of music? Niggas don't know. It's not always to have fun. It's to help people find themselves, because music is frequency programming.
Important thing is having a purpose, intention with what you're putting out. If you make it clear, I'm putting this out with the intention of making you feel like this, it breeds a level of trust within the person that's on the other end of that. Instead of there being any confusion or misguidance, you know what I mean? It causes more clarity, which in turn makes the people trust and want to listen to your music. I'm not giving advice to upcoming artists. No way. But you can take inspiration, of course. You know what I mean? So it's clear that spirituality within the music industry still exists, but is it as prevalent? Heck no. This thing that we call spirituality in the music industry has died down substantially, with artists that provoke all that consumerism being pushed out to the forefront. And what this does essentially is cause people to behave in that mannerism because they're consuming all that energy. They consume that consumerism type of lifestyle, and that's why people start feeling unhappy that they ain't got what those rappers got and talk about in their songs. Yes, it can be motivating, but taking it with a pinch of salt will do so much better than taking a whole plate. Now, let me give this as an example. Let's say on one plate you have whatever food that you want, whatever dish that you want, the most unhealthiest but satisfying food that you like. That's the consumerism type of music. On another plate is a vegetable or an apple, some fruits, whatever, nutritions that you actually need. And let's take your body as what is going to consume it. Obviously, you take the food that you like on a day-to-day basis, and you don't take all that healthy type of food being like the gospel music, the music that is actually thought-provoking, you know what I mean? So you're going to start to get lost. You're going to start to feel unhealthy within the brain, you know what I mean? And the reason for that is because there's a lot of energy within this music. Taking in all this consumerism type of ideals and values within your brain is going to make you think on that, and it's going to make you act in a certain way. Now let's see what science has to say about this. Now, with frequencies and energy being such an integral part of our life, science decided to study what frequency would be the best suitable for you to engage with in your body. And what they found was that 432 Hertz is that sweet spot. Relaxation and mood boosting effects were found in a lot of studies where they compared 432 Hertz to 440 Hertz. And if this doesn't prove anything, it proves that there is a certain frequency and depth where music should be digested in order to contribute to your own physical aspect and contribute to this physical realm to benefit you. But what I found is that a lot of artists do not play their music in 432 Hertz. What's the gig with it? Some may say that there's an agenda. There's an agenda to push out negative energy. Energy that makes you feel tied down. Energy that makes you feel less good within yourself. Energy that makes you want to consume. Energy that makes you cry over your ex every day. My main thing that I found is that music is seen as more of an entertainment form than what it was originally, which was, to guide people and give a sense of deepness within a person's life and feed that to whoever is, on the other end of that. It's more of entertainment and to keep people reaping for more music. Genres like underground music emerging today are a clear example of that, with their heavy hitting beats and a lot of fast rapping styles. It's no question that music is seen as an entertainment rather than something to consume and actually listen to and take in. It's also interesting that these artists that push a lot of spiritual and uplifting music do not get paid enough attention as the artists that, reflect those negative aspects of music. Even to the point where artists that were doing that either got or just don't get charted. And it reflects more of the state that we are as a society. And I think that we need to think about that more. Think about what we're consuming more. With cultures such as Islam not even listening to music at all. Their religious text reflects music as something that's forbidden. Whether or not I'm going to take that within me is another question. However, I can say for myself, I have taken fasts from music where I'm not listening to it as much as I would normally do on a day-to-day basis. And I could say it brings a lot of mental clarity. You have all these lyrics in your head and it's like you got the voice of the artist just playing in the back of your head. When you take that away, it's like you got your own voice in your head back, you know what I mean? So I think taking those breaks and also choosing what you listen to and, taking those other types of music with a pinch of salt is important. At the end of the day, I'm not here to decide what you do with your life or what anyone does with their life, but I think this is very insightful and it should be spoken about more. Talk more on the history too, side of things. I don't know why the history don't get talked about enough, but hey, that's not for me to decide. I'm here to raise consciousness and bring you guys 1900 thoughts, and I think I did with that very efficiently in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments and let me know what you're listening to today too. I don't feel like I said too many times. But yeah, it's Men's with 1900 thoughts. I'm out.
It's okay.
Thank you.
What channel is it?
It's called Men's TV, so you want me to